Shalom, Yasharala. This your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua, Bahashim, Rakah Kodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for your Akim, pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to jump to this here article. As we can see, the EU is getting more and more divided. Esau is becoming more and more of a, a divided nation as a whole. All right, on the international scale and even on a local scale. All right, it says EU divided over Ukraine support. All right, now and you got to think about this. Who's actually, who's actually using Ukraine as a proxy right now? All right, who's actually making the big decisions over there? All right, signaling to you, the real feelings towards Babylon the Great. All right, it says some EU members are not ready to greenlight a £9 billion aid package for this country. Now we're gonna just call it $9 billion. It's actually like 9.1, but just for this the sake of this here lesson, we're gonna just call it 9 billion. All right. It says some EU members are not ready to greenlight a $9 billion aid package for the country, as finance minister claims. EU members are at odds over how they should support Ukraine, with some countries unprepared to provide Kiev with a $9 billion aid package. Ukraine Finance Minister Sergei Marchenko said in an interview with the Italy daily Corriere della Sera on Monday. All right, and we'll just keep calling that the newspaper. They use that name a couple of different times, but hey, they're at odds over how much money they have to spend. Now we already know economically, there's a lot of different countries, even America, that are struggling right about now, man. All right, they can barely pay their own bills at home, let alone trying to ship money out somewhere else. All right, but hey, this is looking like with some newspapers were reporting about a global recession, global economic collapse, which is leading into what? The hour of temptation, all right, which is going to bring into what? Revelation 13 and 16, all right? It says he claimed that the world is also getting tired of Ukraine's conflict with Moscow. Now, again, they should all be on the same page, all with one mindset and everything else like that, but now we're starting to see this divide. It says, of course, we receive weapons and military aid, but this is not enough. It is a clear sign that the European Union and the rest of the world around Ukraine are getting a little tired of this war. All right. That's, you could check the sentiment of a lot of these people around the globe, man. All right. Even I've heard some politicians even speak out about these things, not directly, but indirectly when it comes to, hey, I'm getting tired of paying $6 at the gas prices in some places, man. And some other places even more than that, so, hey, they're looking for a way up out of these things, man. All right. But hey, we know that there's a deeper agenda behind these things. It says, of course, we receive weapons and military aid, but this is not enough. It is clear that the European Union and the rest of the world around Ukraine are getting a little tired of this war. That is understandable. They are suffering from oil and gas prices, the minister told the outlet. On Sunday, Corriere della Sera reported that Germany has been blocking the $9 billion EU package for the Ukraine. All right. And, that's one of Esau's or these Americans' allies. All right. It says Berlin has also allegedly opposed proposal for to finance Ukraine using common European debt. It says in a move that greatly alarmed Kiev, the newspaper also speculated that this was the true reason why Ukraine had abruptly sacked its ambassador to Germany, Andrew Malinks. Commenting on the EU aid package delay, Marchenko says some governments are not ready to support Ukraine with such amount of money. All right, because you got to think, how can we sit over here and support you when we can't even pay our own bills? We over here trying to, scrounge up some change to be able to pay for, oil and natural gas and things like that, man. All right, they're over there making it hard for us to even buy, oil and natural gas and, keep our power on over in our own countries. And you want us to keep sending money over to Ukraine, and the whole Ukraine is the situation or the reason why we can't even have a good relationship with Russia right about now, man. All right, because of the sanctions that, we have to abide by to so-called, cripple the economy of the Russians. All right, but in reality, it's only crippling your own economies, man. All right, Russia's doing fine economically. All right, but now you have to ask yourself, because the narrative is, on TV, they'll tell you, basically not at the same time, but one side will say that Ukraine is winning, the other side will say that Russia is winning. Well, you don't hear Russia out here asking nobody else for, hey, we need aid, we need money, we need this, we need that, man. Russia's doing pretty well over there, man. All right, they got way more troops. Ukraine is looking for troops, looking for weapons, looking for money to come into their country and everything else like that. Russia's not asking for no outside aid like that, man. All right, they just business as usual for them. All right, so you got to ask yourself if the Ukraine is such a winner in this here war, they have such an advantage. Why do they need more and more and more money? And they're going to talk about how they need this daily. It says Marchenko also lamented while Ukraine needs $5 billion every day. All right, you got to think about that. This is how much, man, you spiraling out of control here. All right, Kiev has been receiving much less than this so far. We need $5 billion a month, but in April we receive 1.6 billion. In May we got 1.5 billion. In June 4.4 billion. In July we expect more than 4 billion, but we're dependent on the European bureaucracy. He said, adding that the EU wants to know exactly how Kiev is spending its money. All right, and a lot of times these things just be funnels to line the pockets of the people that's quote unquote invested in these things are just so-called smoke screens. A lot of military conflicts are just that. You have a unlimited military budget at that point in time, and so you can just be like, you know what, we got this here war going on, just like the whole war in the Middle East. It's like, oh, we need this big budget, and I forgot who was it, Halliburton or KBR, and one of them companies. They got caught with dealing with the military. It was like, oh, we got this contract. I think it was KBR or Halliburton, one of them. They got this contract, from the government to let's just say, forgot exactly what it was for, but let's say to supply the military with something. Let's just say tables or something like that. Because they it's just like they buying stuff. But they'll have somebody that'll provide for it. It's called government contracts. But they'll go in and they'll like, oh, well, we're going to spend $100 million on, decorating your homes or the places where the soldiers stay at and everything else like that. Come to find out, they just wound up going to go get some cheap ass cots. Let's say the bill that they wound up spending was $1 million and they pocketed the other $99 million, man. All right, these are the so-called government contracts and everything else like that. There was a movie similar to this. It's called, I believe it was War Dogs with Jonah Hill and everybody else, some other guy in there as well too. But you can look into that government contracts, man. The government spends lots and lots and lots of money on just government contracts for any and everything, man, from, paper plates to uniforms to any and everything, whatever you can provide for them or that they're looking for, they'll pay you for these things. But a lot of the times, again, like in a time of war, people are not going to really investigate how they spent, billions and billions of dollars. Like, oh, it's for the war. Oh, it's for humanitarian aid. Well, where exactly did it go to? All right. But lo and behold, it went right into the pockets of these politicians, the people that's, waging these wars. It says, Marchenko explained that the funds are intended exclusively for social and humanitarian programs. All right. And again, like I said, it's easy for them to so-called funnel this here money for, let's just say, a social program to help the people cope with the war and everything else like that. And all of a sudden they took somebody and paid them maybe $100 to create a YouTube video to make them comfort and like, you know what, guys, we're going to get through this and everything's going to be all right. If you guys need food, come to this here shelter. And they say, hey, we spent $100 million on that production of that their video, and there's some kid in his basement that got paid $100 and they just pocketed the rest. It says the minister comments come after mid-May that Ukraine may have to resort to painful measures to save the crashing economy amid the nation's conflict with Russia. At the time, he warned that government might have to raise taxes, cut spending, and nationalize certain businesses. All right, bringing this closer into what the hour of temptation. If you want to be able to buy or sell, hey, you're gonna have to go into this here national, a nationalized currency, nationalized subsidies, and everything else like that, man. All right, you can read about that in Revelation chapter 13, starting at verse 16, man. All right, because hey, you got all these economies are collapsing and everything. But let's jump into some scriptures here, dealing with this here great divide about these nations, man. All right, we're gonna just start here at we can start at verse 40. Daniel 2:40, it says, and the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces, and subdue all things, and as iron breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. Whereas thou sawest the feet and the toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. But there shall be in it the strength of iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. And as the toes and as the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. All right. And so this is what you have going on right now, partly strong and partly broken. All right. Let's keep reading. Verse 43. It says, whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seeds of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. So in the same sense, you can see them trying to join together for certain things, certain agendas and everything else like that. But as time goes on, they realize they're unfit for the quote unquote relationship, man. Hey, man, we can't keep riding with y'all. We don't have the same type of economy y'all got, man. And a lot of these, all these other nations, except for America, because America has what they have, they got a couple different lifelines. You have, for one, the petrodollar. All right. So whenever any of these nations need to buy, sell, trade, or oil, America make money off of that, long story short, because they need to be able to get the American dollar to trade the oil or the natural gas for those things, man. All right. So America makes money. They pretty much taxing off of every transaction with that, man. So, they don't even have to be in the oil business, but they get money off of that. So that's one way America is lining their pockets through that way. Then you also have through the military industrial complex, because, they're pretty much the head of NATO. All right. The horde that's wrought upon the beast. All right. Now NATO pretty much gets all of their weapons. You have what they call not NATO grade, but they have like certain rounds and stuff, like you're like, oh, these are the NATO rounds that they use. Like, for instance, they have those like the difference between like a what do you call them guns? Those like Russia uses like an AK and America uses like almost like an AR, right? But it's a different carbine or something like that, right? But they have a different round size. Now, who is producing all these damn rounds and who's producing all these guns and all the equipment that all of NATO uses? All right, it's all going back to America, man. So for you to sit there and equip all these other nations and have to have these military, military packages to send to Ukraine and everything else, like oh no, we're gonna send another 5 billion, another 5 billion, and America don't care if they got to spend like 1 billion. All right, you know what I'm saying? In this conglomerate of aid to put together with the rest of EU and NATO, just to send to Ukraine for them to buy weapons, because who is Ukraine gonna be buying the weapons from at the end of the day? All right, companies that are over here in America, who's going to benefit? The Americans. So they don't give a damn about this. This is why they over there now. Buy more oil at this higher price. Buy more weapons. Buy more of this. Buy more of that. Send more money over there, because all it's doing is lining America's pockets right about now, man. All right, or these elites that's up in the office and everything else like that, man. But what these nations are starting to wake up, let me grab that as well. These nations are starting to wake up from these things. It's Jeremiah 51:7. Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand and made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken her for wine, therefore the nations are mad. All right, and part of that wine is, look, we got to go support Ukraine. We got to go over here and stop Russia. Russia's a threat and everything else like that. Now, you still have them constantly barking up that Taiwan tree, man. All right. And Biden talking about something, it's going to be different than Ukraine. We're going to actually help them out if China get involved with Ukraine. We're going to actually go over there and we're going to actually go do this. We're going to actually go do that. It was like, well, you and who else? You think your allies, they got the money to sit here and try to back you if you try to go into China? Now, remember, the whole globe pretty much is supported by China, because, China with they trade and everything else like that. Now, you've cut these nations off economically and with natural resources. You think you want to cut them off with the rest of the resources that they need? All right, what type of taste would you think you would leave into your allies' mouth? I mean, they already looking at you sideways right now. All right, they're already on a so-called defensive edge with you right now, saying, look, man, we refuse to keep paying all these things. Hey, y'all going to have to figure it out on your own, man. All right, we over here bankrupt over here trying to support, a losing battle, a losing war, man. All right, so this isn't looking too good for any of us at this point in time, man. The nations are starting to wake up of this here, the great finesse. All right, we'll put it that way. This is Obadiah 1:7. It says, all the men of thy confederacy, all right, or it says in the NLT, all of your allies, all right. So, hey, you have NATO and the EU right now. Look at the temperature that they got going on right now, man. Look at how they're actually looking at America right now. This is how they say when your friends become your enemies. All right. And right now you can clearly see that this is taking place at this point in time, man. You clearly can see the reasons why these, if you was to sit back and ask, why did the nations turn on America? All right. This isn't a secret. This isn't a conspiracy. All right, these nations are, they're not just saying these things as murmuring behind America's back. They're coming out on, the world stages and saying these things. Look, we can't sustain these things, man. You have whole, how you say, not civilization, societies, all right, pretty much are in uproars over these things, man. Ousting their leaders and things like that, man. You got a lot of different political change going on in the world stage right now, man. All right, a lot of these people are so-called getting tired of these things, but then again, just thinking, more spiritual on these things. It's like, hey, man, a lot of these things they're not necessarily organic. It's really hard for people to sit there and just get up and try to overthrow their governments and things like that. A lot of these things are pretty much, fueled by, more or less propaganda, man. All right, because at the end all be all, they have, again, order out of chaos, man. They want this here stuff to come up so that they can clamp down and, how do I put it in words fit for YouTube? They want to bring in the big military boot and clamp down on everybody. Bring in that new order. All right, so putting two and two together, order out of chaos. They create this here chaos just so they can come clamp down. Hey, the people are out of control. We got these rogue politicians or corrupt politicians. We're gonna put somebody in there that's a new person. All right, somebody that you not used to. And we got to do things under this type of rule for a while, and then once things settle down, we'll get back to normal. But hey, this is what they call the new normal or normalization, man. All right. It says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. And they that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee, and there's no understanding in him. And so, thinking forward to Taiwan, hey, some of these nations, as they, you see how they're acting with the Ukraine situation. Now think about, as they trying to go up into to Taiwan, they're like, oh yeah, we got your back, As soon as America go over there, nope, they turn around, they don't see none of their allies behind them. It's like, hey, we can't afford to go over there. We can't even afford to trip over there, man. All right, we're not going back into these things, man. So what? America's gonna be looking, at the end all be all. We know, when it comes to this World War III, all right, these nations aren't gonna be, at America's side at the end of the day, man. In fact, they're gonna wind up turning on her, man. All right, this is Revelation. Revelation 17:16, it says, "And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore and make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire." Because at the end all be all, they're going to all pretty much wind up turning on America. I should have read this while I was right here. Let me find. Here's one right here, but I want to grab. There's a certain precept in here I want to grab. Maybe it was in Jeremiah 50. Here's one right here. I'm going to read Jeremiah 50:9. It says, "For lo, I will cause to come up against Babylon," which is America, "an assembly of great nations." All right. So let me read it in NLT. It says, "For I am raising up an army of great nations. All right. From the north, they will join forces to attack Babylon." All right. So again, they're going to come as a conglomeration. But that's a precept I want to grab. Here it is right here. Yeah, Jeremiah 50:14, it says, "Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about. All ye that bend the bow, let her shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she have sinned against the Lord." All right, so hey, or let me read it in NLT. "Yes, prepare to attack Babylon, all you surrounded nations. Let your archers shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she has sinned against Yahweh." So, again, all these different nations are going to wind up coming together against Babylon the Great, man. All right. Enemies, natural enemies, and also allies, man. They're going to all turn on America, man. All right, we're going to close out with this here in Matthew. What am I looking for? Is it Matthew 12 and Matthew 12:25. And Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, "Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand." All right. So, hey, you starting to see this here kingdom, internally, all right, being divided amongst its citizens. and then externally amongst his allies. All right. So, hey, where's that so-called American support system? All right. Just like how Jake is being divided up or has been divided up amongst the tribes and everything else like that. It was easy to take Jake down when you got, one tribe fighting against another tribe and another tribe fighting against another tribe. Esau can just come in and pick them all off, man. All right, take one tribe to go fight up against another tribe and everything else like that, weaken them down and then sweep up the rest. Well, right now, what do you think is going on amongst the tribes of Esau, man? Or the tribes of Edom? All right, they're all pretty much looking at each other sideways and about to start going to war with one another, man. Mainly all together against Babylon the Great. It says, and Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. All right. So, hey, this is what they call a house divided. It says, if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? All right. So, hey, we see, Satan being divided amongst, the rest of his, the different tribes of Edom. All right. So, hey, this is not looking so good for the rest of their kingdom, man. I like the scriptures say, Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. All right. So, hey, measuring the time diligently, we see, Esau falling out of power swiftly, man. All right. I'm going to go ahead and close out with that. Lord willing, the elect was edified with this here lesson. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushua, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation, much love for you, Aki, pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Until next time, I say, stay strong. Shalom.